In 2019, a 27-year-old man named Nick decided to pursue a full-time career in music. He moved into his in-laws' house with his wife and kid, and he got to work. In that first year, he released 24 singles, each one with a music video attached to it. But it wasn't enough. He still wasn't making a living from his music, but he kept going and going. And it wasn't until his 84th released song, a full 2 years after he started, that he had a career-defining moment. Today, Nick D, the artist, has over 3.5 million monthly listens on Spotify, hundreds of millions of streams across all platforms, and a big social media following. But why am I telling you this story? Well, we live in a world where people seek shortcuts, hacks, optimal ways of doing things, secret techniques. People think that there's this missing link to success, that all they need to do is find it and then everything will work out. Well, I'm here to tell you that yes, there is a missing link, but it might not be what you're expecting. See, when you look at Nick D's journey, what do you think made him successful? Sure, he made good music. He did well on social media with short form content, but the common thread that ties it all together is volume, quantity of work, hours upon hours, weeks upon weeks, months upon months of effort. To make 24 singles in year one and then do even more the year after that, that's volume. Volume is the missing link. And if you don't believe me yet, by the end of this video, you will. Let's start with the first reason why volume matters, which is that more stuff will not work than work. Most of what you make, most of what you produce in life will go nowhere. It will do nothing. It will not have any sort of success. My last company, EDM Prod, started as a blog. I wrote over 200 articles for this website to try and grow it, to try and market our courses. And out of those 200 articles, do you know how many actually did well, like actually pulled in a bunch of traffic? About 10. 0.5% of what I wrote actually did okay, did well. And I'm not alone in this, not to compare myself to someone like this, but Mozart wrote over 600 symphonies, and only a few of them have kind of stood the test of time and remained popular today. You can find this theme everywhere. You talk to any successful artist, writer, YouTuber, they will say that the majority of the work that they've done has not really amounted to anything at all. Only a few of the things that they've made have done all the heavy lifting. But the thing is, to find those successful pieces, the successful articles, the successful songs, the successful products in a business, you have to go through the volume to get to them. It's rare to publish the article that transforms your business or your website without publishing dozens or hundreds of articles that just do nothing. It is rare to have a career-defining moment as an artist without doing a ton of work first, without publishing a ton of music first. You need volume to find the needle in the haystack. It takes time. It takes quantity of work. You need more throws at the dartboard. But when you hit the bullseye, it makes up for all the failures. Why? Power laws. Power laws are why volume is such a good strategy, especially today in the internet age. As a writer, one essay you produce might get 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more views than anything else you've written. As an artist, one song might put you on the map and get more streams than all your other songs combined. As an entrepreneur, one product you make might end up producing 90% of your business revenue, despite having dozens of other products. Again, going back to my example, the 200 articles that I wrote for EDM Prod, one brought in like over a million visitors to the website and well over $1 million in revenue. One article out of 200. That's a power law. There's one YouTube video on this channel. I'm hoping this will change soon. There's one YouTube video on this channel that has over 340,000 views, which is more than all my other videos combined. Power laws run the world, and they are even more potent in the information age. The best way to take advantage of them is to focus on volume, to do a quantity of work. It's very hard to strategize your way into finding them. You can do a little bit of it. You should position yourself well. You should do work that you think is good, not just a ton of mediocre work. But at the end of the day, you increase your chances of benefiting from these power laws by doing a quantity, a volume of work. But there's also an intrinsic benefit to focusing so heavily on volume beyond just the external success and trying to achieve power laws. And that is that volume is the fastest path to skill improvement. Imagine two people trying to build a YouTube channel. They're both starting at square one. They haven't spoken on camera before. They're not that good at writing scripts. Their ideas aren't that good. They're both starting at the same level, which is complete beginner. We're going to call one of them John and one of them James. John is the volume maxer. He watches this video. He's like, yeah, Sam's right about this. I'm just going to focus on volume. James, he's the quality guy. He's like, quality over quantity. I'm just going to focus on that. Volume, that's a joke. So John decides that he is going to publish 100 videos in his first 12 months. He's going to max out the volume. He's going to do as much as he can. He doesn't care that much about quality because he knows it will come over time if he puts in the work and focuses on quantity. James, on the other hand, decides that he's going to publish one video every 3 months, 4 for the year in total. Given that they both have the same starting skill level, who do you think is going to be more successful after 12 months? Is it going to be James, the guy who made 4 videos, or is it going to be John, the guy who made 196 more videos than James? I can tell you for sure that John will come out the better YouTuber because he's gone through the cycle of brainstorming, ideating, outlining, drafting the script, recording, being on camera for so long, editing 96 more times than James has. When you focus on volume, you go through so many cycles, so many repetitions of the work that you naturally become good at it in a way that when you're focusing just on quality and you pull down the volume, you can't do. A common rebuttal to this is, okay, but what about quality? I can't just neglect quality, right? And the truth is, no, you can't. You can't just do a ton of mediocre work and expect to get anywhere. If you know it can be better, you should make it better, but only up until a point. If your goal is to make 100 YouTube videos, that's 2 a week. Spend like 3 days on each one. But if you're on day 2 and you're like, I'm just going to get this out, even though you could spend another 4 hours and make it way better, then you should be doing that. You should be making it better. But you shouldn't be spending 3 months on it, right? Unless you know that it's going to be a hit for some reason. Quality absolutely matters. There's a clip where Mr. Beast is talking in an interview and he talks about how a great video will get like 10 to 100 times more views than just a good video. And so you should focus on quality. But in the same interview, he also says, if you're trying to grow on YouTube or you're trying to be successful, make 100 videos and then we'll talk. So the answer is actually do both, but focus on volume to begin with because that is the way you improve the fastest and get to a point where you can actually focus on quality. The problem with the statement quality over quantity is that it's terrible advice for beginners because beginners don't actually know what quality is like. They don't necessarily know how to get there, and so they spend a lot of their time spinning wheels. To give you an analogy, which is not perfect, it's like me saying that I'm going to run a sub 3 hour marathon. And the way I'm going to do it is by nailing my technique, getting the right running shoes, being on the perfect course, and so on and so on and so forth, where actually the answer is to focus on volume of training. There's no way I can achieve a sub 3 hour marathon without putting in years of training to begin with. There's no way that someone can go and make a masterpiece of a song if they haven't gone through the hundreds of iterations beforehand to learn the skill required to make that masterpiece of a song. The other thing is that volume begets volume. When you focus on quantity and volume of work, you can do even more volume, which sounds a bit stupid, but it kind of just compounds and feeds back on itself. The reason why this happens is because when you focus on volume, you get better, you get faster. What takes you 2 hours to do the first time might take you 20 minutes after you've done 100 of them. If you make 100 YouTube videos, you're going to be much faster at certain aspects of that process than you were beforehand. And what this allows you to do is either increase the quality by doing better work in less time, or simply increase the quantity, do even more. That's why you see these elite artists, writers, and creators who can do amazing work in a short amount of time. They just sit down, they're working intuitively, they've spent thousands of hours going through the same actions again and again, and now it's embedded in their brain in a way that they don't even have to think about it. They just do. I want to end this video by talking briefly about how you can be more volume oriented, how you can do more volume. The first thing is that you need to make your goal more ambitious. If you don't have an ambitious goal, then you're just not going to do the necessary volume, right? If your goal is too easy, you're going to coast, you're going to follow the path of least resistance. So the first thing is to just make your goal harder, make it more challenging. Nick D, the producer we talked about in the beginning, he had a ton of pressure, right? He needed to make it work for his family's sake, to make money from music. And so when you have that kind of pressure, it's a lot easier to focus on volume. When you're not sure if something's going to work out and you have to really push yourself, then it's a lot easier to say, well, okay, I need to do a bunch of volume. Like I need to do a ton of stuff to increase my chances of this working out. So that's the first thing. Put yourself in a position where you are forced to focus on volume to succeed. It should feel like volume is the only answer. The second thing is to be action oriented. And what slows down the pursuit of volume is overthinking and getting stuck in analysis paralysis. When you constantly switch paths, when you constantly think, oh, maybe there's a more optimal way of doing this, that's what slows you down. That's what kills momentum. That's what kills focus on quantity and volume. What you need to do is keep convincing yourself that the answer to the problem is simply to do more. If you're trying to be a writer and you feel like, oh, I'm not that good of a writer or my stuff isn't working, it's like, how much have you done? Like, have you published 100 articles yet? Are you putting in 3 hours a day? Are you putting in 1 hour a day? You know what I mean? Like, you need to just default to, I just need to do the work. I need to do the volume. And the answer will become clear over time. Third thing is to work in sprints. For a lot of people, the idea of maintaining volume over long time periods is very hard to kind of fathom. Like if I told you, hey, you're trying to be a writer, go and like write 4 hours a day for the next 5 years. It's like, whoa, I'm not going to do that. Like this, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. But if I said to you, hey, for the next 30 days, I want you to write 1 article every day. It's going to be hard, but you can do it because it's 30 days. It's 4 weeks of your life. Maybe you have to make some sacrifices over here. Maybe you have to cut that out, but you can do it. The beauty of working in sprints is that it gives you a ton of confidence. It builds a ton of momentum that can carry through after that sprint. If you want to do it and you want accountability to make it even more powerful and potent, then make sure to check out worksprint.co. There's a link to that in the description. Finally, this is cliche, but simply don't quit. Volume is not sexy. There's going to be times where you don't feel like doing the work, where you try and find the shortcut, where you think maybe there's an easier way. There's also going to be times where you are doing the work, you're putting in the hours, but none of it seems to be working. Nothing seems to hit. The YouTube videos you publish, they're not doing that well. The writing that you're publishing, people just don't seem to respond to it. And it can feel like you're stuck. It can feel like you're stagnating. It can feel like you're going backwards, but you're not, because even if the external results aren't there, there's still something that's happening behind the scenes. And that is that you are improving your skill. You're getting better. Even the bad work that you do is teaching you lessons. You're learning, hey, I published a piece on this and it just didn't do very well at all. People didn't like it. Or I published 5 articles on this or 5 YouTube videos on this topic and it completely flopped. Maybe that's not what my audience wants. And so you're learning all these things over time by doing volume. And if you weren't focusing on volume, you'll learn those lessons a lot slower. So that's to say, trust the process, keep going, and eventually it will work out. Now, transforming yourself into a volume-oriented person requires that you are an action-oriented person. They're kind of one and the same. I have an in-depth guide on how to become an action-oriented person. Here, you can check that out. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.